Hi guys, apologize for the furnace noise in the background, but it's cold here today. Cold. So we're gonna have that issue for the next month or two for sure. Anyway, I'm off before we even get started. We're going to do an update on our ACME body build, the Revell 1/16 scale 87 Firebird GTA. I'm kind of try to do more updates on these than I have been. I apologize for that. But let's get into what we got going so far. Primarily, we got things done in primarily primer. But I don't remember if we showed last time. I had the engine installed into the chassis. Looks good in there. We used the, I think these were the spark plug, either from the 16 scale. I think these were, I think I said these before, these were from the 16 scale AMT 57, but I actually think those were the ones for the 12 scale Camaro that I used to make those plug wires. The electronic ignition module does have nipples on them for those to go on. They're kind of small, so you get a little super glue on there that fit in, or you could use wire or whatever you wanted to use if you wanted to do that. But in this scale, you got to kind of add some details to the engine bay because it's just out there. Underneath, we did a fairly clean job on. We got our exhaust installed. We used some copper paint for the catalytic converter when we tinted the mufflers with a gold. We got a rear end all installed, including the cross member or strut, however you want to call it, that goes between the rear end and the transmission alongside the drive shaft. That's installed. Yeah, and we drilled out the ends of the exhaust pipes, and then I stuck a little black paint in there to accentuate the fact that they're not flat. Okay, so that's what we got there. And so this is basically ready for wheels and tires and be ready to go. You don't put the A-arms or struts go in till you put it on the body, because the top of the struts, there are no, I guess in the modern one, I guess you say there's no upper A-arms. They go just to strut towers. Yeah, so those don't go in until we're putting the body and the chassis together. What else we got? Oh, last time I do know I couldn't find what I'd done with the convertible boot cover, so here it is. I added some tape to it, masking tape over it, and then we painted it. And I will put this is again in black primer, but we will put a gray black paint on the top of that to give it a little contrast, so everything on here is not black. Same thing, I've got the intake plenum for the engine is up here in primer, and the tie rods are in primer. They're up there. I'm not going to take all that stuff down. Next up, we have finished, or basically finished. We still need to put want to put some UV resin over the lens to make the lenses for the speedometer. The kit does give you two sets of decals for the gauges, one with the orange backlighting on and one without. So you get one where the numbers and stuff is white and one where the numbers and stuff is orange. That looks real nice. We got our little tiny Pontiac and Firebird here over on the glove box, and that was a fun one to get on, because it's I should have shaved off the original letters before I painted it, and then it made that decal a lot easier to put on. We got our steering wheel here done. We got some of the matte black, some of the gloss black, and we got our decal for that on there, the little GTA badge. I know the camera probably won't pick it up. The little shiny spot in the middle, that's the decal for the GTA Firebird badge that's on there. There's our top of our dash, and it also mounts into the body, so we won't be putting that together till we get closer down the road, but this fits in there like that. Where do we got? Seats are done. I think they're done. I may go back and touch them up a little bit more. We got the two different blacks on there. kind of give a little depth and dimension to those. Same thing for our console. We got some gloss black, we got some satin black, we got a little bit of black gray in there. Then we picked out the window switches and the radio and environmental control. So we did a little silver wash on those. Here's our Jesse pan. Again, we did a dark a black gray for the carpeting. I'm not going to block this or lay the felt down, mainly because it would have to also include these wheel humps, which are done in the carpeting, and just to have it all match. You won't see anything back here past here. You won't see, but so I didn't worry too much about that. But if I put like carpeting down here, then that would make this stuff look out of place. So I'm just gonna went with the black gray paint on that, and that gives it a little bit of a, well, you can see the seat is in the satin black and the carpet's in the black gray, so you get a little bit of color differential in there with that. So again, we got still in the interior, last piece we got our interior door cards. We got those done. We got again, we got a little bit of the black gray on there, and then but we also have a black, the satin black, and some a little bit of a semi-gloss black. So you got like three or four different sheens of black, and then 2 shades of black in there. So that gives you some textural distinction and definition. We have our wheels here. These are, thank you Lieutenant Dan for printing these. These are Cooper Cobras. Nice size on them. I had a little issues with the print, so the back side of them is a little bit rough, but we don't see that side anyway. I haven't decided if I'm going to paint the lettering on or not, or leave it black. I may just leave it black. We're going to be using American Racing Gambler wheels for this one, and I think those are going to look cool. That's kind of like one of my favorite go-to wheels. I'm a big American Racing fan. Let's see if I can do this without causing too much disruption, because the body is back in my paint booth here. Because last thing I did last night before I went to bed was get the primer on the body. Here a little bit. So we got all that primed, looking good. If you're doing this kit, even if you're going to prime it in black or white, hit it with a coat of gray first, because there are a lot of little sink marks and stuff in here that you won't see until you start laying a gloss paint job on it, and then it's too late to go back. So if you can't remove them, you can mitigate them. Let's see here. Almost dropped it. Grab the other one. For example, this one you can probably see if I can't turn the light. It's still there. It's just to the point I have to live with it. There's a sink mark through there where this bulkhead is, and I've got it smoothed out and mitigated enough to where, unless you catch it just right in the light, you don't see it. I'm exaggerating it now with the lighting, but yeah. So you want to look for those and work those out. And there's a little bit of one also at the back of the door. So like those are some of the big ones. There was some here at the back of the fender on there, and yeah. So you just want to get a coat of gray on there, so you can't, because gray is a good. I found is the best primer color to be able to see stuff like that. When you put it on the black, a lot of times you don't see it, especially if you're using a flat back primer. This one has got a little bit of satin to it, so it's this is Mr. Hobby 1500. So it's got a little bit of a sheen to it, so you can pick that stuff out a lot easier than on flat black primer. Just because it's all going to show through in the paint at the end of the day. I said they were actually much worse before I started, so I've got them down to a point where I can live with them. We also did quite a bit of fitting. Well, partially maybe because I took the roof off because the body was warped. to get a little bit of trimming to get our doors to line up. See if I can get, so I can get my door lines, and they're still, I'm not exactly 100%, but they're pretty close. To get those lined up, I had to trim inside the back of it, on bottom of both ends, and a little bit off the bottom. File it down to get it to get those to line up. But again, you know, still I'm not even sure if I'm gonna, when I get the, once I get further along, I can see how they're gonna sit with on the hinges. We're gonna put magnets in there to make sure that they stay pulled tight to the body. But if they're not looking decent when they're finally put on the hinges, then I may just go ahead and glue them shut. We'll see when we get to that point. The only other part I have here, which is not on yet because you can't, you have to wait until the chassis is in before you can put the rear bumper on. Or you hit one or the other. You have to either choose the front or the rear. You can't put them both on beforehand, ahead of time, or you won't be able to get the chassis up in there. So I chose to, since the front end is the most visible, that's the way we went. So the back bumper can't go on until after everything's all put together. I may tape it on it from the inside, so when I'm painting, we're getting the same amount of paint on the bumper as we are. Same thing with doors. I'm going to probably white glue those in place so that when we're painting, we get the same amount of color on the skins as we do on the adjacent fenders. That's a big mistake I made on that 57 Bel Air, was that I painted the doors and the hood at the same time, and I thought it was putting the same amount of paint on, but it obviously wasn't, because the doors were a lot darker than the body. And so that's where we're at. Probably the next video we'll be have the paint on. And we'll probably have a final assembly video after that. So we're looking at probably 2 more videos on this series, and of course the last one you won't see until October, because it's said it's an ACME build, so I won't do a final reveal on this car until ACME. So with that, I'll thank everybody for hanging out with me today. I know it's cold all over the U.S., and even those guys down in Florida, you know, it's down there where they have to wear their parkas, you know, and it's and temperatures that us guys up north will be wearing shorts and t-shirts in, but you know, that's what it is. So with that, I want to say thanks for being here today. I hope you follow along, and with that, I'll say good morning, good evening, good night, depending on where you are in the world when you watch this video, and we'll see you next time, guys. Bye.